Hello, race fans. We are back for the third episode of Beyond the Flags here on this podcast with your host, me, Ben Dethridge. Got a great show ahead of you. We're going to go to the evergreen state of Washington, talking about one of the top stars in the state of Washington when it comes to freeze and performance IMCA modified action. He's out of Tumwater, Washington. He is the two-time defending Grays Harbor Raceway track champion and three-time defending Washington State champion. We're talking about Tyson Blood. Tyson Blood, a name to reckon with in the Shaw Race Cars Western region. That's coming up next. Well, here we go. We are having our first guest from the state of Washington. He races in the Freeze and Performance IMCA Modifieds. Tyson Blood representing the WA. You're Mr. Washington when it comes to IMCA stuff, really, because you're three-time defending state champ, two-time defending Grays Harbor Raceway champ. Tyson, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure.
We've crossed paths a lot this year already, and there hasn't been much racing in the Pacific Northwest. We got to hang out with each other for a couple weeks down at the IMCA TV Winter Nationals in Yuma, and you got to spend a lot of time in the state of Arizona.
Oh yeah, I was down there that whole month, and it was great. I mean, just being able to race, in January and nice weather, and the tracks are great, surface is great. It's the best competition that they have, in the nation. So. And I felt like I did pretty well. Made quite a few A mains and held my own and had some good finishes. So it was a lot of fun.
It's just such a tough deal, especially, the way they adjust the format. The heat race winner is in, but historically, you'd been there a couple of years. Historically, you win the heat and you were starting no worse than however many heats you had. Like you had 8 heats, you weren't starting no worse than 8. This time it was, you were in, but you could be starting like 16th. Not win your heat race and then start on the pole. It was kind of interesting how they did that with the passing point format and really kind of shook some things up.
Yeah, it did. I still don't know which one I favor. I think I liked this year better just because it kind of gave, the guys a chance to get in, just do some passing points. It wasn't just, you had to win or get, top 3 or whatever, even though they had passing points the year prior. But I don't know. I think it took me a week to kind of learn that I almost wanted a bad pill to start, in the back to get more passing points. And once I kind of figured that out, I think I only missed 2 out of the 8 races at Yuma there, but it was, I don't know. I think it made it pretty fun, and I enjoyed the way that they did it, but just something different, I guess.
Well, talking about Maquoketa Speedway in the Yuma-Somerton, Arizona area, for you race at Grays Harbor Raceway a lot. Obviously, we noted it. You're twice a champion there. And it's, to me, and again, it's just me, and I'm not an expert when it's to comparisons and stuff, it seems like it's size-wise similar to Elma, and sometimes, given certain circumstances, it also races similar to Grays Harbor.
I think so. I think I can take that, experience from Grays Harbor and to Yuma a little bit. I mean, obviously Yuma's really wide all the way to the wall sometimes, but the size, gearing's just a couple of clicks off, and it does. You're totally right. As a racer or even an outsider, it's very similar in size, and every track has their differences and characteristics, but yeah, I think it's definitely very similar.
Obviously completely different climates. When we're there for Winter Nationals, historically it's, in the mid-70s, 80s. It seems like it wasn't really anything over 70 for the 2 weeks. I wasn't sure what was going on there. But, Grays Harbor, very obviously the name is in itself. It's about 20 miles or so from Aberdeen, which is where Grays Harbor is, and not too far off from the water. And, it has that coastal effect. The marine layer comes in sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely will trick you. Some nights you think it's going to be dry in the main, and that coastal weather comes in and the water starts coming up, and, it's real tricky. So it teaches you a lot. You'll have, early in the season, you'll have your rough tracks, which, we just kind of learn to get through them. And, then the summer times are beautiful, and it makes for a really good season. Teaches you a lot of the different, weather types of tracks, even though it's the same track.
Well, and for those of the listeners that aren't exactly aware of this, Grays Harbor was the only IMCA sanctioned track with, the Speedway Motors IMCA Weekly Racing Series for some time. And then 2022, Skagit Speedway, which is north of Seattle, just outside of Burlington, they go sanctioning. They'd ran modifieds there for some time. Maybe about give or take about 10 years or so, and they had developed, like a little, of some drivers there. And then that just kind of changed the game for those guys, and that gave you an opportunity to go race there, to chase the state points title, and get another track experience in your own state.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to Skagit, as much as I could before they were sanctioned, and it was always pretty good racing. A lot of the Canadian guys would come down because it was pretty close to there. So you get, like Lawrence O'Connor would come down, and he's always a good competitor, and and they had some pretty good locals, and so it was always good racing. And it's a little bit smaller track, so different discipline there, but it races pretty well. I mean, I think it's kind of designed to be a sprint car track, but I like it. I do. I think it's a great track and good surface, good banking. Obviously, I would love to go down south in Oregon more, but it's pretty tough when I got two really good tracks fairly close to home. So,
well, and Grays Harbor, home of the Northwest Nationals, and Shipwreck Beads, a major part of that for since the existence of that event, whether it was sanctioned or not. That's a big event at Grays Harbor, and then the Survive to 55 $10,000 win at Skagit. I mean, things are looking great for Friesen Performance IMCA modified racing in the state of Washington.
Yeah, I love it. It's guys from all over come to both those races, and it's always fun being the local guy. Maybe not local to Skagit, but being more local than a lot of the guys. So I feel like I got a little advantage, even though the last couple of years on the 55 I haven't done the best. But still looking to try to get one of those. That would be awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's talk about you and your racing career. You come from a racing family. I guess just give us the origin story of that, how the Blood family racing team kind of just started.
Yeah, I mean, it stems back to my younger years when I raced motocross. I mean, my dad got me into racing motocross. He was always a dirt biker and raced a little bit and just loved racing in general. It didn't matter what it was. And I fell in love with motocross at a young age and raced, all the way till I was, in my middle, late 20s. And then I started my business and kind of got out of racing and was always competitive. I made it to the pro, local pro level in motocross, and always was pretty good, for being a local guy. And then I started my business, and it kind of went into just trying to build that business, and I wasn't able to race very much. And my dad, he's, hardcore racer, loved it. He ended up getting actually one step further or back. We ended up getting some 4-cylinder tuner cars, or Hornets, or Bumblebees, or whatever you want to call them. And we raced at a track called Jackson Prairie Speedway.
Okay.
And we raced there for a couple of years, and that was kind of fun. I kind of was like, I'm going from a, motocross guy to a little 4-banger race car. And it was fun for a couple of years. And I think I kind of grew out of it and was like, I need to go do something, bigger or whatever. But my dad ended up getting a street stock, and, he raced, I don't even know, 10 plus years, I think, out at Grays Harbor in the street stock class. I think it was hobby stock, street stock, super stock, whatever they call them throughout the years. But, he loved it. And, and I looked at it as almost like I'm going to help my dad. I'd go to the races and help him. And he was doing it on his own quite a bit when I was still working pretty hard with my business, but it was fun. I was able to help him and watch him race, and and then he got to the point where felt like he was kind of getting older, and he just asked me one year, "Do you want to race?" my car next year? And I'm like, yeah, I do. That'd be awesome. And so I ended up getting into street stock and racing that for 1 year. And I think I won 2 races that year, got like rookie of the year. It was a lot of fun. And I remember my dad always talking about modifieds, when he was racing the street stock. And he was just like, I think you did pretty good this year in the stock car or street stock, and let's get you a modified. Let's do this. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. So that was the beginning of the modified scene. And I don't even know I think that was in 2017, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, 2017. So raced that for the first year, had an open motor, didn't know what we were doing. Ended up getting rookie of the year in the modified, and that was, that was cool. But I don't think I might have got a couple top 3s maybe or something, but never won any races and was just learning. But we fell in love with the mod class. It was just a new car. There's so much to them and a lot of competition, especially at Grays Harbor. So that's the short version, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, and about how old were you when you first started driving your dad's car? What would you say?
Oh, let's see. Well, I'm 43 now. Oh boy, I'm horrible at math.
Okay.
So it was 2016. So let's see, 35 maybe.
Okay.
Let's see. Is that right? Somewhere around there. Yeah. So, I'm late bloomer, I guess, but I've always raced. So I guess, I, excuse me, didn't have the, fortunate to start at a younger age in the car scene, but was still a racer doing dirt bikes and this and that. So I felt like that really helped me in racing in general, being able to race cars. And so.
Well, I just asked that not to call you out and age you or anything, but
not at all.
But to gauge of like, okay, you first started racing, Grays Harbor, which is really the biggest track that exists. That's obviously sanctioned. I mean, Yakima, when it was operational, I think was a little bit bigger, but like when it comes to a place that's so big and it carries so much speed and everything, and here you are, you're racing against guys with a lot of experience, and that's nothing against you or anything like that. And then you graduate to the modified division, where you have like, and for folks that are listening that have never followed the modified scene at Grays Harbor, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking an easy 21, 22 cars a night, and a bunch of those cats can win each night. And then it's, okay, Tyson, we're going modified racing. Here we go. And then, you got guys, out there like Scott Miller and Craig Moore and, Kyler Moore. And then, cameo appearances
there was
from some driver.
Yeah, Tom Sweatman.
Yes, the Sweatmans, yeah.
Yeah, there was a handful of them, and then obviously some of the out of towners would always come, and yeah, it was a pretty good field. It always has been, yeah.
Well, and what's something really cool about you is you've partook in a lot of the IMCA Wild West shootout events. Like you've traveled long distances into the state of Oregon to try and follow the tour as much as possible. And also, when the weather wasn't looking so up in Elma, you would occasionally make a trip down. I recall just looking, it would be at like Banks or Lebanon or, maybe Cottage Grove had a big race or something. So, I mean, and I feel, and by all means, interject here, that has did nothing but help you just get faster and faster each year.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, even my rookie year, my very first race in the modified was at Yakima. That's something my dad always taught me was, you can't just race one track, and we did the same thing in motocross. I mean, we traveled all over Oregon down, Albany, and we raced in Vegas and California and we traveled a lot. And that was always something my dad taught me. And when we got into the modified, it wasn't just, oh, let's just take our time and race, Grays Harbor. And that's fine for a lot of guys, they're having fun. But for us, we were like, we want to do better and travel and race as many tracks as we can and learn as much as we can. And obviously everybody knows, seat time is the most important. And so yeah, that's something my dad definitely taught me, was to travel and do as much racing as I can anywhere.
Yeah. So here's a name that I forgot. I don't think you raced against them though. Joe German. He was a force to beat there a couple of years at Grays Harbor. So
yeah, he was. I remember watching him. Yep, I never got the pleasure to race with him, I don't think.
But you definitely threw out a name that I hadn't heard in a long time. Jackson Prairie Speedway. That was, for me, getting started in announcing and stuff. That was one of the premier places for. I want to think they had some pretty big cage kart races there. And then something happened. They paved it, I think.
Yeah. Actually, I think, I can't remember. It was so long ago, but I think when my dad first got the 4-cylinder, he raced the first year for him when it was dirt. And I don't think I raced that year. And then they paved it. And I think I raced maybe a year or two. And then unfortunately they shut down, and then that kind of forced us to go to, we did a little bit of South Sound Speedway, the Bumblebee stuff. And then we also, I think honestly, my dad might be one of the very first champions in the Hornet class at Grays Harbor Raceway in the record books. I can't even remember if I have a championship there. I don't think I do in the Hornet class, but we went there and, I can't say we built the class or nothing, but one of the very first years that they accepted the Hornet, the 4-cylinder cars, we were there because it was right after Jackson Prairie shut down. So that's kind of cool.
I'll never forget filling in. I'm pretty sure Phil Martelli was the regular voice there. Filling in, occasional times Phil had, I think, a school reunion to go to, and I'd never announced at Elma before. So, I do my normal thing, go and talk to all the drivers. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, man, there's only 3 Hornets here. And then I get up to the tower and you just see 10 of them show up on the trailer and we're hot lapping already. And it's I remember it was Aaron Reed or Nathan Prince, one of the two. Who's that guy? Who are these guys that are showing up? Does anybody know? So, but super cool deal.
Yeah, it's it's, a lot of people might say whatever about that class, but it's a perfect building block. I'm living proof. We got into that class and it made us love racing, and, it kind of got us into the bigger classes. And I think this year, there's probably going to be 20 to 30, of them out there. There's a lot of them. So it's a good class.
Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Cottage Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Drivers Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of the replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. Well, let's switch gears here. You sport the number 97, and the significance of that number, I've always been interested. Why 97?
So, again, my dad was 97. Back in the motocross days, I was always either 47 or 471, and my dad was always 97 or 971. And when he got into racing the stock car, that was his number. And then obviously I raced his car. So it's just one of those, I wanted to support my dad's number because he is my biggest supporter in this and allows me to race. And, I couldn't do it without him. So, there was talks, my first couple of years in the mod, my dad even asked me, do you want to change your number to your number, that you grew up racing with? And I said, no, absolutely not. I'm doing this with you. And it was '97 from the beginning. And I mean, my dad had a pretty good following at Grays Harbor with all of his fans. And, you know, for them to find out that his son gets in the car and goes out and races, it was always just a, you know, family number, I guess. And I just wanted to make sure I stuck with it. So,
well, you live in Tumwater, Washington, which for people that are unfamiliar with, when it comes to Washington geography, it's just outside of Olympia, the capital city. You know, everyone thinks that Seattle's the capital of Washington, but it's on contrary. Yep. It's Olympia, and that area is really cool because you're right next to the South Sound, and it just all the beauty with all the trees, and the Olympic National Forest isn't too far away, and the coast isn't too far away, nor are the mountains. But for you, I mean, what are some things you like to do in Tumwater when, you know, you're not working on race cars, you're not working, or things like that?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful area. Grew up here, lived here my whole life. Yeah, it's kind of funny because Tumwater and Olympia is kind of you know, most people don't know Tumwater, but it's like a rivalry to a sense. And I always went to Tumwater schools, and we're kind of, you know, we're like Tumwater. So when we write our address, we could write Olympia, but we're, you know, Tumwater hardcore, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, there's lots to do. But then again, there's not lots to do, right? I mean, it rains here a lot. So, me personally, you know, we play a lot of golf, trying to maybe play some softball, you know, do some activities after work. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, there was a lot of mountain biking, even racing dirt bikes. There's a lot of tracks. I mean, the weather's always good. So, I mean, there is a lot to do. I mean, a lot of guys that snowboard can go north and, you know, to the mountains. You can go to the ocean. We got lakes. I mean, it's a pretty cool little area. It really is.
Well, and isn't clamming like a super big deal in the South Sound? Like, I think it was a deal on Dirty Jobs or something. Like, they did a whole episode on it.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think I literally just went clamming for the first time. And it wasn't even really clamming. If you know, it was just on my, let's see, is that Aaron's family? I can't remember. Sister-in-law's parents' property. They have a little clam bed there, and we went clamming for the first time, or for me anyways. But yeah, it's a very big clamming area, you know, the sound there and the ocean, you know, everywhere. So,
and you put the thing in the sand, and then you do like a twist move and like pull them up. That's how it works.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Put you on your big old rubber boots, I guess, and sink and try to chase them.
Nice. Yeah, I think I've stopped there. Well, actually, my cousin lives there. Now that I say that, but what's nice about it is I've stopped there a couple times, you know, because there's some petrol stations, you know, because you're out of like the hustle and bustle of Olympia, Tacoma, Puyallup, and Seattle, which it can get wild. It can get crazy. But
yeah,
traffic wise, not as bad lately though. Ever since they fixed those roads by the joint, the JBLM, Fort Lewis
mm-hmm.
and McCord Air Force Base. Holy smokes, there were some horror stories there of trying to get through that place on a Friday.
Yeah. Luckily, the traffic down here isn't bad at all. But yeah, anytime you head north, you'll definitely hit some traffic. That's always, I mean, that's the one of the worst things that I have about Skagit is the drive there, unfortunately.
Sure.
You know, the track's awesome, this and that, but trying to get there, sometimes you might lose an hour just because you're waiting in Seattle traffic. So,
yes,
you know, but
yeah, that little span from Everett to Marysville, you just got to get over the bridge, and it's like, what sort of thing do we got to sacrifice to make this thing happen? But yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Well, it's been great catching up with you, Tyson, and I know that you got a lot of great people, and I know you got a lot of great sponsors, and I also know that you're also, and I don't think we really touched on it, you're a big part of Grays Harbor Raceway in you know, in more than just as a driver, and always helping out there and dedicating a lot of time to that facility.
Yeah, it obviously benefits my business, but I also just have a passion for racing, and every time I get into, I used to race RC cars for a little bit there. And every time I would get into a hobby, it's like, I always want to try to help that sport or hobby or whatever and do what I can. And, and then I got into racing and got to know Bird, and, he knew I did a lot of graphic stuff, and it just kind of turned into a really good relationship. And I love trying to help and, help the image, help with signage and awards and trophies, doing a lot of those now for a lot of the different tracks. And, so it's definitely a juggle trying to be a racer and a business owner and, run the company and race against the competitors that I wrap their cars and this and that. But, I think overall it works out pretty good.
Well, and then going back to the statement of all the people and sponsors that make the 97 be able to race locally as well as travel pretty much nationally, who are some of those people that you'd like to acknowledge?
Yeah, I mean, Blood Commander is probably on the top of that list. He's just been a really good supporter and loves racing. Hit me up one year and just wanted to be on the car. And Dave and Ruth, they're just awesome. They've been sponsoring for quite a few years now, and they come to the races. Marty with MB Electric, he's saying, he's kind of a family, or not a family friend, but just a friend through a friend, and great company. Known him a long time. He loves to be on the car, come to the races. Fusion Graphics, my company, obviously puts a big chunk of it in. My buddy Thomas with WRD, Walker Racing Development, he does all my shocks and sells a lot of parts and does a lot of different stuff, not only just the shocks for me, but he helps. I mean, he's a racer himself, so he even helps with tuning the car and this and that. AMS Oil is a big help. They have, great lubricants. My buddy Mike with Osbach Dirtworks. Another friend of mine, Clint with Extreme Auto Spa, he helps out. Oval Track Supply, Joe's Racing Products, Noonan Industries. And then my family, obviously my dad, my beautiful girlfriend, Sarah, my mom, Swag, Don Swafield, he helps out quite a bit, loves the sport. And then my brother, he's actually been coming the last couple of years. He's been a big part of the team, making a pretty cool YouTube channel, 97 Blood Racing. A lot of people should check that out. Hoping he can get some new updated videos out soon. And I couldn't do without any of these people. They're all very helpful, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. And for you, is there a good place people can follow you along? Do you guys have a team page on Facebook or social media, or do you guys have apparel for sale that folks can support you that way through online sales, or is that just kind of a at the track thing?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I think it's just an at track thing. We do have a 97 Blood Racing Facebook and Instagram, and then obviously the YouTube channel. I would love to try to get something online, to sell some shirts and this and that, but as of right now, I don't. Working on some new apparel for 2024, so hopefully I can get that going soon. But yeah, everybody check it out and follow the YouTube channel and some social media.
Awesome. Well, it's been great to catch up with you as always, and I'm glad that we were able to catch up with each other to tell your amazing story, and can't wait to see how the rest of 2024 is going to go.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Ben. That's awesome, man. You hit me up. Definitely a pleasure. Definitely do it again soon, and hope to see you at all the races.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions. Before we let everybody go, here's the upcoming schedule on IMCA TV of live pay-per-view events. The month of May will get kicked off on Wednesday, May 1st at Iowa's Stuart International Speedway. Then the rest of the week, Friday night, we'll have 3 bouts of action. Davenport Speedway in Iowa, Yreka Speedway in Mandan, North Dakota, and Beatrice Speedway in Beatrice, Nebraska. Saturday night, Crystal Motor Speedway in Michigan. Boone Speedway returns on Saturday as well. Maquoketa Speedway will also be a part of the Iowa action. Eagle Raceway in Nebraska and North Central Speedway in Brainerd, Minnesota. Grays Harbor Raceway in Elma, Washington will be on the card, along with Shelby County Speedway in Harlan, Iowa, Arlington Raceway in Minnesota, Electric City Speedway in Great Falls, Montana, Cottage Grove Speedway in the state of Oregon, Bakersfield Speedway and Yreka Speedway, both in the state of California. There'll be some north of the border action on Saturday at Estevan Motor Speedway in Saskatchewan, while Mohave Valley Raceway in Bullhead City, Arizona returns to racing. Then on Sunday, it'll be a full card with several races, including Interstate Speedway in Jefferson, South Dakota, Benton County Speedway in Vinton, Iowa, and Nodak Speedway in Minot, North Dakota. Clay County Fair Speedway in Spencer, Iowa will have a doubleheader with Tuesday, May 7th and Wednesday, May 8th. And for more information, to check up the updated schedule and how to order your pay-per-view events, log on to imca.tv. That's imca.tv, where America comes to watch racing.